a little bit change of a plan, but we're going to improvise because that's actually what we do. You can't miss college football, especially when we've been waiting so long to kind of get this done. Let's see, let me start getting everything ready. But had to run to the mom's house, and that's where we're going to be doing it today. I'm going to be talking. Sorry, traffic was kind of bad getting here. That's why I didn't want to waste any more time. Once I got off work, it was just too long to get here. I didn't want to wait. I know one game's already started, but I'm not. I'll go back. I've got it recorded, so I'm going to watch it here in a couple minutes, which is, excuse me, is going to be the Michigan State Tulsa game. So I'll start watching that here in a couple minutes. But that's not the only game. We also have the Wisconsin and then USF. Those are the two top 25 ranked games going on tonight. There are a couple, Oklahoma State that's going to be starting here in a little bit, or later tonight around, I believe it's like 9:15, 9:30. I'll definitely watch that one as well. I'll watch all games, all true college football fans do. But first, we're going to get those games knocked out, and then I'm going to kind of dive into what I saw last night and, quick hear thoughts and go over the predictions, all that good stuff. So appreciate everybody for watching right now. Y'all are awesome. That's why we do what we do. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit the follow button at the top and check out other social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course my YouTube channel, which all of my stuff goes on. So we're gonna hop directly into what's going on right now, which is the Tulsa Michigan State game. Now Michigan State, obviously it's a Big Ten dominant. Their defense is really what's going to stand out, and I think they're going to be absolute dominant tonight. I don't expect Tulsa to really be able to move the ball so much. Coming out of the American Conference, they just don't play that level of talent. They open up against a real big one, top 25 matchup. It's 18, Michigan State. The interesting thing that I want to keep my eyes on is Michigan State's offense. We know what they can do on defense. They're going to be dominant. They're going to I actually have them pitching a shutout. But what are they going to be able to do on offense? Are they going to be able to run the ball? Are they going to be able to do play action off of that? Are they going to be able to pass effectively? They've had some quarterback issues in the past. They really haven't had a solid quarterback since Connor Cook left a few years ago. I believe it was in 2015, his last year. So really haven't had solid quarterback play for them. But that's the first game of the season. We're gonna learn a lot tonight. So right now I have them covering the points. I know that they're favored, but I have them covering the points, and I'm actually gonna have them winning 38-0. I'm gonna have them pitch a shutout. Tulsa. I don't expect them to move the ball too much. If they do score, I expect it to be a trash touchdown, kind of garbage time at the end. So we'll move on real quick since I know that game's going on. The other game tonight is going to be Wisconsin. That's going to start here in about 5 minutes, give or take, against USF, against the old Charlie Strong Bulls in the Wisconsin. Now, we know what Wisconsin brings to the table. They have a fantastic defense. They have a fantastic offensive line, and the best, if one of the best, not top three for sure, if not the best, running back in the in college with Jonathan Taylor. He led the league in rushing last year. I expect him to be at the top of that list. Knock on wood, sustaining any injuries, which he's not really prone to. So I expect him to kind of roll tonight. They are favored by 10.5 points. I'm actually going to be taking those points. I think that they'll roll and cover easily, not easily, but I'm predicting a 38-23 game there. So keep an eye on that. The Big Ten, is all. That's what it's about tonight, is the Big Ten. So we're going to see really how those two teams start off and how they're going to start building towards they get to some of those bigger teams that they need to start beating if they want to win a Big Ten. I keep wanting to say Big 12. Big Ten, like Michigan and Ohio State, the two big dogs in that league. So it'll be interesting. Keep your eyes open. 42-0 Michigan State and 38-23 Wisconsin. Taking the points on both of them. Now I want to kind of redirect And Jose says hi. What's up, bud? Jose likes the facial hair. You know, I try a little bit. I need to grow it out a little bit, but I hate it. It grows out unevenly. You know what I'm saying? It grows out like real thick here, and then real thick here, but it kind of leaves a little holes right here almost, and then I get this little patch right here, so it's just uneven. You know, it's tough being a grown man, I guess. Speaking of facial hair, I'm pretty sure, Bryce, you got I feel like I've seen you with a pretty stacked beard lately. Some pictures. But anyways, Jose, love you. Say hi to him for me if he's not with you. And Bryce, love you, bro. Hope you're doing all right, man. Congratulations. I know you're getting married soon. I don't think you have yet, but I know you're at least engaged. So congratulations on that, brother. Love y'all. No, we're going to kind of redirect back into what happened last night. We had 4 top 25 games going on, and they were pretty interesting. Yeah, they weren't very entertaining, if you will, but it got us to kind of learn a couple things. I'm going to start out with the defending national championships and the Clemson Tigers. Right off the bat, a little underwhelming start that you kind of want out of your national championships. They play Georgia Tech, which is kind of going into reading the same ones. They're switching up their offense, but the defense isn't very good at all. They ended last year 79th overall in defense, so a very underwhelming talent-wise matchup. You expect Clemson to kind of roll on this one. But right off the bat, Clemson, underwhelming start. They 3-and-out. They get really lucky on a punt muff right there. They punt it off to Georgia Tech, and he muffs the punt. They recover, and it's pretty easy. Hello from Arizona. Hey guys, how are y'all doing tonight? Love y'all, miss y'all. Very glad I'm gonna actually see y'all soon in October. That's gonna be amazing. Little girl is I'm sure excited to see you too. Good to see Mimi and Pop. But Clemson, so we're going to talk about that. They get real lucky on that first drive, get that muffed punt, they recover it, and then it's a really short field from there. Trevor Lawrence walks it in with on a 6-yard read option. But then after that, they seem to kind of get going and get control. Captain Falcon, that's my shirt, punk. Nah, dog. Nah. Boomer. But Clemson, their defense started to tighten up. Their defense was stout all night. Obviously, they only allowed 14 points, and one of those was at the very, very end, and it was kind of a weird, just throw up in the air touchdown. So, one thing that I did learn was the national spotlight right now is on Trevor Lawrence, and he kind of underperformed against a 79th overall defense. Now, it was the beginning of the season, so it just didn't really look good from a Heisman standpoint. I wouldn't say that he lost the trophy right then and there. It's the first game of the season. He more or less just a little hiccup, but he's got plenty of time in the future. He's got 11 more games or so, whatever they play, to make up for that. Now, one guy on their team, I think, actually raised his stock immensely was Travis Etienne Jr. And I think if you didn't know who he was, which you had to be living under a rock, then you absolutely know now. He had 12 carries, that's it, for over 200 yards. He had 205 yards, averaged 17.1 yards a carry. That's phenomenal. He had 3 touchdowns. His rushing touchdowns were for like 90, 40, and then he had a good one for about 15 yards. So this guy's no joke. He was the ACC Offensive Player of the Year last year, and if you didn't have him in your Heisman votes, then you don't know what you're talking about, because this guy's phenomenal. Everybody thinks, just automatically assumes that it's a quarterback race nowadays, and this guy, I really hope he starts getting a little bit more attention, because Etienne is phenomenal. No, he did have one fumble. I'll give him that one kind of early in the game. He did fumble it, but it was kind of close. It was, they had to do a little replay on it, but he did fumble. I don't like my running backs fumbling. But another thing that you learn about Clemson is do not make mistakes on these guys. Every turnover that they got, every fourth down conversion that they stuffed, they absolutely capitalize on. So you can't make mistakes. That's a team that you have to play perfect on all three sides of the football: offense, defense, special teams, everything. So some side notes that I had written down: Clemson, their punt return unit, they didn't do a damn thing all night. I don't know if they returned even one punt. So that means that they need to get better on special teams, better blocking, things like that. So they just fair caught it every night. And then also, one thing that teams want to start game planning for is the delayed handoff that they kept running. They ran it maybe 4 or 5 times, and every single time, if they didn't score on it, they got it, a 20-plus yard run. So something to kind of keep an eye on, that they had a lot of success. They do that to kind of freeze the defense. And when you play defense, especially on a team with Clemson, you don't want to be playing on your back feet, and that's what they were having success with doing. You want to kind of go at them full speed and hit them right in the mouth. Now Trevor Lawrence, all in all, it wasn't a good night for him, but he did have glimpses of that Heisman-esque, of that national championship phenomenon that he had his freshman year last year. He had a couple of stupid throws. One was, on that right side, he threw an out route. It was like a little 5-yard out route that it should have been a pick six. He threw it, got intercepted, but he made up for it by hauling ass. And if you didn't see it, go look back. He goes and he tackles that defensive back and really nails him and pushes it and knocks him out of bounds. Just a full-blown contact hit, stops him at the 1-yard line. And then, of course, he has the best defense to literally shut him out. 3 times in a row, run, on 4th down. They go for it on the 1-yard line, and then they get a tipped pass because that incredible defense, and then get an interception and get the ball back. So didn't even cost him, even though he threw an interception. That was the first interception. The second interception was just a bonehead throw, him trying to make a play right before half. It was the last play, that he had before half, and he jumped. He was running out of bounds, but then jumped and decided to throw it, 50 yards down the field and threw a pick. Just trying to make a play, but really just all in all, a stupid decision. So I don't think he'll, I think he'll learn from that one, but it just didn't look good from him from a statistical standpoint and from a guy that's trying to win a Heisman Trophy. I'm sure if you ask him, he didn't care about the Heisman. All he cares about is that national championship again. But another thing that stood out, he didn't do bad the entire game. He had some really, really good deep throws. His one touchdown that he had was a good read. It was 1-on-1 down the sideline. Great, perfect throw. It was an even better catch, though. It was a better catch and run by the receiver than it was a throw by the quarterback. But he impressed me with his legs. He's not known much as a runner, but he made 3 or 4 really good plays with his legs to keep drives alive and things like that. He even on that first or the second drive, actually, he had that touchdown run. So Trevor Lawrence throwing a little spice into his playing style and throwing that aspect of running into it. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can capitalize on that and keep it going as long as he can stay healthy, because I know he missed a game last year because he ran it, and I think it was a concussion that he missed one game for, even though it didn't really matter for him. So if you watched last night, I had my predictions, and I predicted Clemson rolls 52-10, and they actually won 52-14. So it wasn't too bad at all. Pretty much right on the spot. I know that people are pretty upset about those numbers, though. So we're going to move on to Texas A&M playing Texas State, opening up in Kyle Stadium. It was a good one. Texas A&M opened up, and Kellen Mond looked absolutely great. He opened up. He looked very precise. He was throwing with purpose. First, let's see. I know he opened. It was like 7 out of 10 for 100 yards and a touchdown. Gig 'em, baby. That's what I'm talking about. They looked really good. I was pretty impressed. He's more so of that runner kind of guy, but The defense opened up strong on that first possession. They got that interception. They got multiple interceptions actually throughout the game. A very disciplined defense. They were kind of on that first drive dinking and dacking, if you call it. They got a first down right off the bat, but then they shut it down. They tightened up a little bit in the secondary, and they weren't able to run on A&M pretty much all night. On the second drive, if you didn't see it, you probably want to go back and look at it. Kellen Mond threw two absolute beautiful dimes. One of them, the first one he threw was for like probably a 45-yard touchdown pass. Receiver just couldn't hang on, and it was absolutely beautiful. Very impressed with him. And then the other one was actually for a completion. Almost a touchdown. He spun around to avoid pressure on the back end. He looked like a little bit like Tony Romo, spin for the win, and then throws a dime, on a pretty good. The receiver was actually covered pretty well. Just throw it on a dime, and they got it down at the 1 yard line. But then they go and they run it 3 times, against a Texas State team that hasn't won over 3 games in a season in 4 or 5 years or something like that. So they run it 3 times a row over and over, and they finally get it in on that third try. So that was one thing that I want to see improvement on, I guess, from the Texas A&M is their short yardage situations. They didn't do very well in short yardage situations. They got stuffed a little bit, but I'm sure Kellen Mond will kind of open that up. They need to do a little bit more play action with them, stuff like that. Maybe some design runs. You never know. But all in all, Texas A&M looked pretty good. I know they have that young offensive line, so that is part of the short yardage problems that they were having. But I thought they did pretty good. Another one was Corbin, their running back. He looked pretty good, but he's a little skinny. He got banged up a couple times last night. He was limping, but he came back and finished the game, so it wasn't any problem. But I just know he's been nursing a hamstring issue over the spring. They even held him out a couple late practices towards closer to the season for precautionary reasons. I just want to make sure that he's healthy. That's it. He did good. He looked good. Very quick. He just got up a couple times a little gingerly, and just keep in mind, just keep that in mind. As long as he's good, I think he'll be good. Those were really my only 2 concerns, if you will. Other than that, they looked great. They pulled the starters when they needed to, because they got a really big game against Clemson. Texas A&M is the best pretty much in the country at scheduling those big games. Because they play Clemson and Alabama, almost every year. So that's pretty hard to do and go 9-4 like they did last year. Because they actually split 2-2. They lost to Clemson and Alabama, the 2 ranked teams, but then they beat 2 ranked teams in Kentucky and LSU. So they kind of split those. But look for LSU, I think that next week against Clemson, it's going to be closer than people think. Look back last year, they only lost by 2 points. So I think it's going to be a better game than most people. I'm interested to see what the line is. The betting line is going to be on that one. So go Aggies on that one, right? Now the next one is the Utes versus the BYU. It was kind of dull at the beginning. It was pretty much as I expected. Oh, I'm sorry. All my predictions for the Aggies, I apologize. I predicted it was 45-13, and it ended up being 41-7. So a little bit off, but it was still pretty close. But going back to Utah versus BYU, first half was it was brute versus brute. It was hard hitting, good defense. There wasn't an offensive touchdown. It was a pick 6 in the beginning of the game, or kind of towards the end of the first half by Utah. But all in all, it was a hard hitting game. They got a couple of field goals, or Utah had 1 field goal, and then BYU had 2. So they kind of go in 9-6 for a little bit, but the halftime adjustments prevailed for Utah. They made the adjustments that they needed to, and the offense kind of opened up in that second half. And they got 2 more long, really good offensive drives, and then another pick six in the second half. So the defense is fierce for Utah, so look out for them. They're a pretty good squad. Maybe they can give someone in the Pac-12 some sort of recognition, but we'll see how Oregon does tomorrow. Also on that one. Now, I will say this about BYU: their quarterback is definitely promising. Wilson, I liked him a lot. Give him a look up. I think I don't know if he'll do anything this year, but I think he's doing a lot with what he has. So give him a look up. Number 1, Wilson. Next one, on that one, let's see, on my predictions, what was that? Oh, I predicted it was 31-17. 31-17, and Utah did actually win. They covered the points, and it was 30-14. So pretty much right on the head with that one. And then last but not least, the UCF Knights. 2 words: impressed and look out. They kind of picked up right where they left off. I wasn't actually expecting that. They don't have Mackenzie Milton, of course, in the American League. That was kind of the one team that I was thinking that would be... They were really the only team in the American that was doing anything, except for maybe Houston, but then they lost kind of their quarterback. That he didn't finish the season last year. But now that Brandon Wimbush is in, I wasn't as high on him as a lot of people, but he looked really good. He looked, his decision making was good. He didn't throw any interceptions. He didn't fumble, anything like that. Started out hot. His completion percentage was still low. It was lower because that was something that I kind of ragged him on a little bit last night about. Over 20 games with Notre Dame, his completion percentage was 50, and that's kind of atrocious for a starting quarterback, especially for a caliber team like Notre Dame. But he goes there. His completion percentage last night was still a little bit low, but he did good. He threw for a lot of yards. He threw for a couple touchdowns. Even the backup last night looked pretty dang good for UCF. Now, the only thing I'll say on that one is that they were playing, FAMU. Which isn't a good team, Florida, Florida AMU. So it's going to be interesting to see. Let's see, UCF. I don't know who they're playing next week, but impressed to say the least. I don't want to take anything from them, but I'll see once they play a little bit better of an opponent. But yeah, that was my thoughts kind of on last night's games, those 4 ranked opponents. Let me know what y'all thought, if y'all saw anything else that I didn't, if y'all have any opinions. But make sure to watch those games on tonight, because that's what I'm actually about to go do, is turn on the TV and do a little bit more note taking for you guys. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow about some of these games, because we have the official first Saturday of college football, the real one, starting tomorrow, and then we've got Oklahoma on Sunday and Notre Dame on Monday. So appreciate every single body watching, everybody chatting. I love when people interact. It's awesome. Gives me something to talk about. And love y'all. Have a good night. Scranton Strangler out.